Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming along this morning. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jessie Jeffrey. I am the business development guru here at CyberGuru, among other things. I do a little bit of operations, but you'll hear from me later because I'll talk through some of the some things strategic and some things AI that you need to know about. But just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. This today is being recorded, and thank you, Chris. We've currently muted you, so that with the idea being that if you've got a simple question, please put it in the chat. If there's something more detailed, we will have a specific question and answer time at the end. So the two main ways. The two, if it's simple questions throughout, and then afterwards there'll be a dedicated Q&A if we need some more time. And with that, I will hand over to Chris.
Thanks, Jess. So thank you very much for everyone for being here today. It's great to be able to see you all and speak to you all about CyberGuru and what we're looking at doing in the next 12 or so months. This photo was taken while we were at our recent holiday over Christmas at Caloundra. As some of you might know, I've got into a bit of exercise in the last few years, and one of the things I enjoyed doing over the Christmas break was going out for some early morning runs. And it got me thinking about what we can do to inform our clients in a different way to how we've traditionally done that. And that came to me by having like a client webinar like this, client briefing. So this is the first of hopefully many we'll have to share with you. It's complementing our newsletter and social media, but also times we get to see you in person over our quarterly reviews. So we encourage you to contribute as much as you can with us today. Please pop your questions in chat. At the end, we'll have plenty of time to answer your questions, and hopefully we can give you some enlightenment, I guess, on where the IT industry is going this year and some of the changes that we're seeing happen. So first I'll introduce myself and I'll let Jess do the same. So many of you have met us, but some of you may not have. You might be one half of us at sometimes different things. So by way of introduction for myself, I'm Chris. I'm the chief guru of CyberGuru. So what started as a hobby some 27 years ago is now a family-run business with Jessie, my business development guru and wife, and also our employee Alberto, who you might have seen pop his head in just before. So between the three of us, we're proud geeks, as Jess says, and we're happy to help you in any way we can with IT. And we really love learning new things and sharing that knowledge with each of you. Jess, would you like to say a little bit?
I introduced myself earlier. You'll hear me talk about my passions and what that means for around security and AI and what that means for your business shortly. But I'll hand back to you.
Okay, great, thanks. So one thing we've done in the last few weeks is we've been doing some tweaks on our website. If you haven't been there already, we encourage you to have a look at it. It can be found at cyberguru.com.au. Probably the most significant thing you'll see now is a small video that you can play about our services and what we do. So if you haven't experienced our services before, and maybe you're a prospective client or someone who's just joined in on the call, we encourage you to look at that video and access that video. We've also got certain smaller videos that we've set up for different service offerings, including our managed IT services. So if you're curious to learn more about what we do and how we work and who we look after, then please go on our website and have a look. So we're going to start by moving on to what's new with Microsoft. And Microsoft is an ever-changing environment, not just 365, but Windows, as well as its other programs and flagship applications. Today, we're going to be talking about some of them that we've seen change that might affect you. And of course, we're happy to discuss these offline with you if there's any that appeal to you or would like to know more about. I'd like to flag that recently I became a Microsoft Certified Administrator Enterprise Expert. I think that's a bit of a mouthful there. What that basically is a small subset of individuals, including myself, have now sat several Microsoft exams and obtained this certification. There are very few of us out there that have this qualification. It's taken several years actually for us to obtain that through various courses, exams, and other certifications. So we're quite proud to have that. It's really good to have that sorted. Alberto is also looking at achieving some in that same qualification set, and Jess has a different set, but we really aspire to maintain and continue our service improvement through ongoing skills and training. So some of the changes, I guess the first one of the year that we came across and we'd like to share with you is the new Outlook. So many of us use Outlook as our day-to-day program to connect to email, use our calendars, and generally access all our information because it can be linked to any other services. A new Outlook was launched late last year, which has a similar look and feel to Outlook on the web. You've probably used Outlook on the web when you have been able to use the internet on a web page or on a mobile device. So the new Outlook is bringing the same look and feel to the Outlook that you use on your desktop or laptop computer. It is being set as the default from January this year. So that's effectively may have already happened to you, and you've probably been surprised to see this new look. From our own experience and that of some of our clients, we're not quite convinced that it's everything in the old version that we used to have and be happy with. So at the moment, you can currently switch back to the old Outlook, and there's a toggle on the right-hand side window. If you are experiencing any issues with Outlook, then we encourage you to do that. However, we understand that later in the year, that button will be removed and only the new Outlook will be available. Coincidentally, only this week we saw an email update from Microsoft saying they're actually going to rename new Outlook to just be called Outlook. One of the other new changes that we've seen happening is the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. You might be familiar from Copilot from what we've had in our previous webinars, but part of the Copilot introduction to the Microsoft ecosystem is that they're renaming lots of previous products that were named as other names and we're calling them Copilot. Most significantly is the Microsoft 365 app, which you may have on your mobile phone or tablet. So what was known as Microsoft 365 as the app or Outlook or Office prior to that, it's been rebranded as Microsoft 365 Copilot. As noted there, some features have been adjusted. We're seeing constant change in this environment, what features are available and what are not. You can still access your OneDrive files from there, take screen captures of business cards and whiteboards and so on. And more features are being added all the time. So if you haven't downloaded it already, it's a free download from your device's app store, whether that's the Google Play Store or the iTunes App Store. Then you can download that app on your device. One significant change to be aware of is Windows 10 end of support. We are seeing a large number of devices at the moment getting prepared for upgrades to Windows 11, which will be the mainstream operating system that Microsoft will support from 14th of October. What this means if you don't upgrade is that there will be no longer any free updates from Microsoft for Windows Update or any technical assistance or security fixes. I'd also be conscious to be aware that if you are running a machine that cannot run Windows 11, then it is likely past its use by date and should be replaced. Similar to that, if you have any devices that you might have seen in your environment from Windows 8.1 or 7, and we occasionally do come across them, then obviously those have been out of support for some time. So Windows 10 is going the same way.
If I can just jump in there, Chris, the on-flow effect of that is the supply issues in terms of buying to upgrade Windows device and just buying new Windows devices generally. With that end of support coming in October, we're expecting that we'll probably see a lot of people looking to replace at the end of financial year and into the beginning of next financial year. What our suppliers are warning us of are COVID-style shortages, because the last statistics I saw, there was 4.5 million devices that were unable to be upgraded to Windows 11, but the suppliers were expecting to get approximately half of those devices between now and the end of October. So from a strategic viewpoint, if you haven't at least considered whether or not you've got devices that are going to need replacing, and also factor it in, we would encourage you to start looking at this earlier rather than leave it till the end of financial year or into next year, knowing that there are stock issues, and when you've got scarcity, then we see prices go up, and we're already starting to see device prices increasing slightly at this point. We expect that to keep. What we're hearing is that they'll likely continue as supply dries up.
That's right. So, and just be mindful too that your machines may be able to run Windows 11. Basically, any machine that's older than 3 years, we'd probably not recommend Windows 11.4. There is a piece of hardware that's in the machines that gets checked upon installation of Windows 11. And if it doesn't have that piece of hardware, then Windows 11 can't be installed. For our clients on managed services, we do have it on our IT roadmap with our clients that we will help enable a Windows 11 upgrade. These can be done fairly seamlessly, and we arrange to generally do that after business hours to ensure there's no impact on employees' productivity. Another change, excuse me, that's happened this year is Microsoft is looking at price standardization. Basically, what Microsoft is looking to do is increase its subscription costs, but it's partly to align it with the current plans on annual term subscriptions. So at this stage, we understand it's only going to affect monthly billing plans that are on annual terms, and that from 1st of April this year, any new or renewing monthly annual subscriptions will cost approximately 5% more than annual upfront payments. And this applies across all the customer segments of Microsoft, being consumer, or commercial, academic, and not-for-profit. We have seen that a lot of people are looking at moving to annual subscription in order to be able to save that 5%, but also it actually gives them a 20% discount, you could say, because there has been a 20% discount on 20% premium on yearly. My apologies, let me say again. There has been a 20% increase on month-by-month commitments. So if you do go to an annual commitment, you can save 20%. We're always happy to discuss this with our clients more, and there is a reference link at the bottom if you'd like to see what other products that impacts. Another change we are seeing, and we're helping to move our clients to it, is the adoption of conditional access policies. Now, this one's a little bit more technical and may require a bit more explanation, and I'm happy for questions throughout this as well. But conditional access policies are basically ability to control access to resources based upon certain conditions. Conditional access applies to us, particularly on Microsoft 365. And what we're looking at controlling in terms of conditions is enabling users to only access their Microsoft 365 within Australia or within their geographical reach. What we'd like to do is recommend geo-blocking, which helps restrict access to regions outside of Australia or the other places where you may work that are not essential to your business operations, as this can help to reduce the potential for threats and unauthorized access. Unfortunately, we can't guarantee that such 100% success on this, because there are measures that third-party actors can take, such as using a virtual private network to perhaps look like they're from Australia. But the point of conditional access to start off with for us is to look at geo-blocking countries outside of Australia so that anyone tries to attempt using a method to log in, that they will be not able to do so, because the conditional access policy will only allow access from Australian internet service providers. This is something we're looking at doing in the first half of this year, and as we have our quarterly service review meetings with our clients, we'll look to discuss this further and plan a project and cost this out accordingly.
So, Chris, in terms of what this means practically to our clients, can they still send and receive emails from suppliers and so forth overseas?
Yes, you can. That's a really good question. And one of our clients asked us that yesterday, where emails can be still sent and received across the world. That doesn't change. It's the ability to log in to your Microsoft 365 from overseas. So if you're overseas, say on a holiday, we can temporarily allow you access to those locations that you might be traveling. So you might be picking to travel to America and Canada. We can select certain countries that your access is allowed, and upon your return, we would then re-enable that access. Similarly, if you have virtual staff or VAs offshore, then we can enable that on a more consistent basis for them. But certainly, to answer your question, Jess, and of that client, we would recommend that we do enable conditional access policies, but it will not stop the receipt or sending or receiving of emails between countries. Next, one thing our clients may have seen later in the last part of last year was a notification from Microsoft that their granular admin relationship had been ended by an administrator in your organization. Firstly, I'll explain what a granular admin relationship is. It's a service that enables us to manage your account with Microsoft, so on your behalf, so that we don't need to log into your account to perform actions like renewing a subscription or performing general maintenance or other services. We have renewed that through another means. It's actually on an automatic renewal with our clients. So if you did receive that email from us, you can disregard that message, as we have already renewed that for you. We did have a message that was sent by our clients concerned that we no longer had a relationship on their system. That had already been resolved when that email came out, but unfortunately, that Microsoft had inadvertently sent that email. So I'll now hand over to Jess to talk about some of the cybersecurity and best practices that we're seeing out there today.
Thanks, Chris. So I've got some stats to share with you. We'll talk about AI, and also there is a new standard that's come out. And I thought I might just start before that with a question. If you want to put your answer in the chat. If your supplier gets compromised and they send you out an invoice and you inadvertently pay the hacker instead of the supplier, who then is responsible? Is it the supplier or is it you, the customer? Do you want to put your answer in the chat, please? I'll just give you a minute and see what people's thoughts are. Customer. Okay, well, I'm impressed that we've got a couple of people. Here we go, supplier. Well, I guess there's a difference between being morally responsible and legally responsible. And there was a case in Western Australia that's only been resolved in the past few weeks, where a supplier was compromised. The hacker has changed the bank account details on that invoice, sent it out. They had a policy in place that if there's a change of bank account details, that you need to confirm that with the supplier. The customer attempted to contact the supplier via their landline, the one listed on their website, in order to verify those details. The supplier was having phone issues. They were unable to get through. And so they went back to the email in question, the invoice in question. They rang the phone number on that invoice. So they spoke to the hacker. The hacker verified that those details, and the supplier, the customer then paid that invoice, only to find themselves sued by the supplier for the cost of the invoice. And the court found for the supplier that the customer had not undergone the verification process, that they hadn't taken due care in confirming those details before paying that account. So you now have a case where the customer is out twice, because they've still got to pay that original invoice in addition to having paid the hacker. So what does that mean for your business? Two things. One, if a supplier or someone else changes their bank account details, then we really recommend having a policy that you verify those details using the phone number listed on the website or what you would normally ring as opposed to what's on the email to verify the change in account. And the second thing is that maybe you need to consider updating your terms and conditions to include a statement, or sometimes you will see it at the bottom of an email, that please verify if our account details change, please verify that with us before payment. So that's completely not technology. That's a process and policy. Aspect of cybersecurity, but given the amount of invoice fraud that we're seeing, it's something that's worth considering for your business. Next up, I'll continue on to who's being hacked. And I was at a presentation a couple of weeks back by Emergence Insurance, and they are one of the largest cyber insurers in the Australian market. And I found this particularly interesting, that the biggest category of businesses claiming on their cyber insurance that they've had a financial loss is businesses in the 1 to 3 million, closely followed by the businesses in the 3 to 5 million turnover category. So effectively, you've got businesses in that $1 to $5 million category, which is effectively pretty well the definition of small business. So what they found was that as they moved from small up into medium businesses, they were starting to take on greater compliance and so forth. That the IT the systems that they had. Medium businesses have different needs and risks compared to small businesses. So it's really that small business that's risk at the moment. And when you look back in terms of who the Australian Cybersecurity Centre, all of the attacks that are being reported there, 47% of those are being directed directly at small and medium businesses. The types of attack that we're seeing claimed for, so hacking, that's where the hackers or the cyber criminals are going directly to compromise, whether it's your email or your website or another system. Socially engineered theft, and this is often where they're trying to convince you to hand over your details, and often it starts with an email. You get an email, you click on the link, you're asked to verify, to put in your username and password. It's not a legitimate login site. You're actually handing over those details to the cyber criminals. And the third one was ransomware. And this is where they're after your data, so that they will encrypt your data so that you can't access it. And increasingly what they're doing then is that they're downloading a copy of it and they're extorting you not to release your data as well. So it's been around for quite a while, but they're just finding new ways to make even more money out of you. And again, ransomware typically starts with an email where you open up an attachment or you click on a link. And again, if you look back to the Australian Cybersecurity Centre, more than 60% of the attacks on small and medium businesses are coming directly through email. So that's by far the largest single area where we're seeing cyber attacks happening.
Certainly, we're seeing in the space when we're scanning emails or having to assist people with emails that maybe not delivered or inadvertently delivered. Social engineering is a very prominent exercise, and so much so. Yesterday, I saw an email that was misdelivered potentially of someone trying to go for a tender, and they were sending emails sending tender documents. So social engineering can occur because people are trying to test you out or test the defenses of the organization out by getting this information. But some of them might be the other way, where they send you information perhaps to whet your appetite to download something that you might be interested in. So, it can happen either way these days. quite interesting.
Next up, we've got who's being scammed. And the reason that I mention this, so often when we think of scams, we're talking individuals, and we all know that we're not just business owners or employees, we're partners, we're parents, we're siblings, we're friends. And I found this quite interesting. The This data comes from ID Care. So these are people who have been scammed that are reaching out for assistance. And the largest one being age group, most common was 35 to 44, and then followed by 25 to 34. So you've got this group of people aged 25 to 44 who are what we would typically know as digital natives. They've grown up with the technology. And there is a perception, a misperception out there. Well, if you've grown up with the technology, then you know what you're doing. And this is just a timely reminder that no, anyone can be scammed. And, so that's something increasingly that we need to be aware of. In terms of the types of scams, that itself was quite varied. Please, Chris. That most commonly they were unknown to the client. So as in a cold call or contact from someone you don't know. There can be a result of a data breach. So people that have been caught up in Optus or Medibank or Latitude, for example, might then become a victim again because the scammers have taken the details from that initial data breach and then use that to scam them individually. There's also most commonly was online shopping scams, telephone phishing scams, someone calling up pretending to be Telstra, Microsoft, or the like, and SMS phishing scams. And this has been an issue, particularly where you see a text come through. You've got a series of texts from your bank, and a scammer can inject themselves into that conversation. So you think it's coming from the bank or a trusted source. So it's just a timely reminder around these scams. They're out there, and they can impact anyone. With that in mind, I want to flag two resources for you. One is ID Care. It's a national charity across Australia and New Zealand, and they help with individuals primarily who've been scammed. So they can go in, if you've given someone access to your device, then they can go in and help clean that up. Or whatever that type of scam is, if if you need help talking to the bank, that kind of thing. They can also help where if there's been a relationship breakdown, if there's concerns around cyber stalking, whatever, helping to disentangle accounts and going through and checking to see if there's any evidence of cyber stalking. But also if there's been loss of a loved one and you're trying to reclaim digital assets, regain access to various accounts, they can help with that. The second one is eSafety website. Again, another government website. And this is a website for reporting abuse. And this is monitored 24/7 by the federal police. So you can report cyberbullying in minors, adult cyber abuse, image-based abuse, and illegal and restricted online content. Where that is hosted on Australian servers, they say that it can generally be taken down within a matter of a few hours. If it's overseas, it's a bit more complicated because then they've got to go and get in touch with the police in the other country and try and get it taken down that way. I also want to flag the image-based abuse. This used to be known as intimate image abuse. And classically, if you think revenge porn, where you've had a compromising photo taken and they're and someone is threatening to share that out with friends or family or the like. With the creation of deep fakes, it's estimated that between 70 and 90% of all deep fakes are porn. And so if there are any concerns, if you're seeing any such images, they can be reported to eSafety to get their assistance to get that taken down. So these two websites, I call the two websites that everyone needs to know about and hope they never need to use. But we get probably a call a week from individuals who've been scammed, and we refer them on to ID Care. We've had some good feedback from there. So, right, put it down somewhere, put it away, hope you never have to use it. But if you hear about it, those resources are available, and they're both free.
The first call I think we got at the beginning of the year was from a client that had unfortunately succumbed to an email-based scam where they'd thought they had to reset Telstra password to gain access to their email. Turned out not to be Telstra, and then a third party had gained access to their Telstra email account. And as a result of that, they used that to send out many emails to all the contacts of that individual's on that individual email address book, therefore spreading, unfortunately, more difficult messages that way. So ID Care is very helpful, especially in a circumstance like that where an entity or an individual might need help. Businesses, of course, have the Australian Cybersecurity Centre through the cyber hotline, cyber.gov.au or 13cyber. And of course, we're always happy to provide advice before that happens to make sure that hopefully you don't have to use any of these resources.
Okay. Next up, we've been getting a few questions around AI lately and security. And one of the big ones is whether or not to give employees access to AI. The stance we've taken is that yes, you should. And the reason for that is there's a number of studies out here. This one was taken last year by LinkedIn and Microsoft. So they went directly to the employees, that bypassed the employers and asked them about their AI use at work. And of those employees in small and medium businesses that were using the AI tools at work, 80% of them were doing so without guidance and clearance, or clearance from the top. So they're going outside of the IT system that the employer has set up in order to be able to use AI. More than half of the people who are using it at work are reluctant to admit to their usage. And that seems to be related to a lack of job security. If I tell my boss that I'm using AI, then they'll think that my job is replaceable. So I just won't say anything. And while team culture is important, what we've come to the conclusion that you're better off to give them a tool and then give them the safeguards around them, put the policies in place to say, this is what you've got, this is what you're allowed to use it for, this is what you can't use it for. Give them some guidance, or they're going to figure it out for themselves. And yeah, by at least by actively choosing a tool whose security that you feel okay about, then you've got better control than if they just copy it and paste it into who knows what and where it ends up on the web. There was, and again, having that policy in place around this is what you're allowed to use, this is what you're allowed to use it for, and then anything, you're not allowed to use it for anything else. Or, but being proactive around that is a really big step in the right direction and can save a lot of heartache later.
Yep.
There was a company at the end of last year who lost a multi-million-dollar Department of Defense contract because they hired a marketing intern who had learned at uni that the way you generate a marketing plan is that you take the business plan, you upload it into ChatGPT, and it will spit out the marketing plan. Well, this particular business had created a hard-to-detect stealth drone And by uploading the business plan into the free version of ChatGPT, it then, those plans for the drone then ended up as part of the training data set of ChatGPT. And the Department of Defense found it through ChatGPT and actually came back to the company and said it's no longer a secret, which was why they lost that contract. So I realize most of you probably aren't working on stealth drones, but there will be some data there within your business that you don't want made public. And so, again, being proactive and having those conversations and thinking about it now, even talking to your employees and going, well, what would you like to use AI for? And getting some input around what kind of AI that you want to implement in the business. All of these are positive things in terms of working towards, from a security perspective, trying to keep the data within your business and making sure that employees don't go outside that. The other question that we often hear in terms of AI is we hear about a particular tool and we get asked, is this tool secure? And quite frankly, it's not as easy as a yes/no answer. And there are a few steps that we go through with clients to help them assess that, because our aim here is to be able to help them make an educated decision. So the first step is, what do you want to use it for? And two of the AI tools we've been hearing a lot about lately are Otter AI and Firefly AI. And they are both for note-taking. And if you just wanted transcription, for example, you wanted to transcribe a meeting, where you go, okay, Microsoft Word has transcription and dictation functionality, maybe you could use that so that you're not adding additional tools on. But if in terms of other meetings, well, then maybe you've got a genuine need there. Secondly, what does it need access to and how? And both Otter AI and Firefly AI access your Microsoft environment. And the way that they do that is using a system called OAuth. Now, I'm not going to get technical here, but there are two things that I will say about OAuth. One is that it's great for its simplicity. The other, from the security perspective, that is a concern, is that, say you have an account with Otter or Firefly, and then you decide that you're not interested, you're going to remove the tool, you disable, you cancel the account. That doesn't automatically remove their access into your Microsoft account. So it might be that if you decide that you want to use it, we would suggest a policy that if you cancel it, that you get in contact with us to be able to remove that access for you, because otherwise you're leaving a backdoor open from a security perspective. If that company has a breach, they've then got a backdoor into your system. So knowing that is important in terms of how you mitigate that risk and reduce it. And then finally, where is the data stored and what do they do with it? In the case of Otter and Firefly, both are stored in the US, one on AWS and the other one, I think, on Google. What do they do with it? Firefly say that they don't use any of the recordings in the training data set. In contrast, however, Otter, what they do is they have an automatic de-identification process, and then they take those recordings and then they put that into, and then they use that in your training data. And just because it's been de-identified so that no one can, no one can tell that it's you, at least that's the premise of it. It's an automatic process, so no one's actually checking that. It doesn't mean that you've still got sensitive data there, which may not be identifiable per se, but there's that question around, do you want that data potentially ending up in the training set? Which it was the issue that happened for the drone company. So based on the conversation, you can then go and decide yes or no, whether you're willing to take the risks, whether you want, one over the other, and so forth. And this is a conversation that we're going to keep having for the foreseeable future, and we're happy to keep having. If you've got any questions, please reach out, or we can sort of walk you through this.
And it's not just with AI tools too. So the AI tools are probably what a lot of people are seeing now, because when you try to perhaps allow access to data 365, our managed clients will probably get a message that says provide business justifications. You send to your administrator, and you might be wondering why you just can't install your own app. And the reason for that is basically just to keep your data secure. So by giving access to Otter or any of the other platforms, AI or any other applications, that data that we know is stored in Microsoft data centers, generally in Australia, by allowing access to someone or an organisation such as Otter overseas, you no longer have control of your data. We don't know where it's gone, what it's been used for, where it appears somewhere on the internet. So we are pretty, rigorous, on making sure we do have an approval process, and then work with the client to make sure they have an educated decision, as Jess said. We are by just saying yes to every app, we would be negligent in just giving all these companies access to your data, especially if you're an organisation that sensitive data, whether about people or about the clients that you work with, could be made publicly available, and it should be held very securely.
Okay. And then finally, we've got SMB 1001. And this is a new international standard, but it was designed in Australia for small business with input from small business. And so it's written in plain English. The steps are a lot more practical, and as opposed to something like Essential 8, which is the other Australian one, or others like it, that were written for enterprise, and then we're trying to work out, well, how do we make that work at a small business level? This aims to be much simpler for businesses to understand. There's 5 levels from bronze to diamond. If you're reaching diamond level, then you're getting close to ISO compliance. So it is aligning with ISO. At its most basic, the first step, there are 6 things to do, all the way up to, I think it's 37 for diamond. And so it provides a framework for those when you're trying to go, well, what's next for the security? Is there other things to consider? This provides a great framework and helps with the roadmap for that. The other thing that we're looking that we've been doing is there are certain industries that have compliance where there's a certain level of compliance. So, for example, whether that's legal or financial services, insurance, for example, and they're saying that you must have minimum standards. So far, what we've seen is that this, what they're asking for, aligns fairly well with different levels within SMB 1001. And again, from that framework of, well, we're currently at bronze, we need to be at platinum, for example, how do we get there? Then it helps to step that out. This is also something that you can go for accreditation. So you can, for bronze, silver, and gold, you can go through, do some documentation and self-attest that, look, we've reached the gold standard. Once you get to platinum and diamond, that's when you need to bring in an independent auditor or assessor to go through and verify that you're actually at those standards. And so we're hopeful that this gives something a bit more meaningful to talk to in terms of where's your cybersecurity at, that this will help give businesses greater visibility around exactly where they stand.
Sorry, Jess, you want to say something?
No, you go.
We have a ambitious target of achieving our goal by Easter this year. So in about 7 weeks' time, we expect to have gold ticked off for us. Most of the practices and principles we have already in place. It's about self-attestation. So documenting that, how we do it, and then achieving gold. Similarly, we like to help our clients on the same journey of doing that. So we've become a Dynamic Standards International or CyberCert partner, where we can help to deliver those certifications too. So if it's something that you're looking at, it might be a great value prop to clients that you work with, or whether you're looking at achieving higher in the future, we'd be happy to talk further. But I say gold is where we see most of our clients are probably going to likely go. It's the highest of the self-attestation. Many of the items that we that's the list we already offer to our clients. There are some additional ones like having a visitors book, and that's something we have not considered in our business because we don't get many visitors come to our office, but that's something we'll be introducing, and we're happy to share our learnings with our clients.
This is also something that could be of potential use to organisations that are doing work either with government or big business. And for example, if they're tendering and increasingly there are questions around cybersecurity, they're worried about the security of their supply chain, and will often say, what framework are you adhering to? So this is by aligning to or going for a particular level on SMB 1001. This is one way of being able to address those concerns. I'll just hand back to you, Hun.
Thank you. Alrighty, so we're on our last section here now. So if there's any questions you'd like to ask, please do pop them in the chat now. I am monitoring that on my little screen below me here, so I apologise for looking down sometimes. Just checking the queue for questions. So we've got a little bit of news, I guess, across a few areas, and we thought we'd share them with you here. So the first of which is our data protection service, which we have formerly known as Datto SaaS Protection. We'll then be talking about some new products and services, share with you a tip and trick, and just some reminders on our services and what we do. So first of all, in terms of data protection, many of you would subscribe to our data protection service, formerly known as Datto SaaS Protection. It provides a daily, 3 daily backups of your Microsoft 365 data. To those not aware, Microsoft doesn't back up your data, despite, I guess, the thought that it's on the cloud. If you were to actually have accidental deletion or a rogue employee or a third-party actor attempt or gain access to your data and just delete or somehow destroy your data, then Microsoft is unable to help you recover that. That's it's expected that you have your own backups. So we've been providing Datto SaaS protection to our clients for several years now. Unfortunately, due to a change of policy on Kaseya's front, they have started charging for storage fees if you use more than 100 gigs per licensed account. So at this stage, we have been looking at our clients and looking at who's been using over 100 gig. We have a few examples where clients have gone over. Fortunately, we have been able to negotiate with Kaseya to have that to 100 gig. Traditionally, it's 70 gig. But what they've also helped us do is that if you have, say, 5 licensed accounts, that data will be pooled or shared between the 5 accounts. So if you have five licensed accounts with 100 gigs of storage per account, gives you 500 gigs of storage available across to back up your data. We are looking through a list at the moment of the clients that are affected, and we'll be communicating with you in a hope that we can hopefully reduce the amount of data storage used, perhaps by reducing the amount of backups taken, retention of those backups, or removing files that you no longer require off the backups, archiving those off. We will be, as I said, we will be working through clients for that, and then be able to provide what the charge will be for the overage. Watch this space. It's a little bit new to us to do that. We are seeing other cloud service providers do this, so this is probably not new to some. If you've got some other services with other providers like Google Drive or even Microsoft OneDrive Consumer, then you do know there's available tiers and storage limits on that. So Kaseya is effectively following the same way. In terms of new products, in light of some of what we said already and discoveries of last year, I guess, of different parts of email and web security we want to improve upon for our clients, we introduced some new products late into the late part of last year. So that included a more advanced email security product that would couple alongside your existing Microsoft 365 email security to help protect further against spam, viruses, ransomware, and other attacks. We also have a new phishing test and training software that we can enable that helps to you and your staff to identify and avoid malicious emails. So we can have notifications on email to let you know that this may be suspicious, and be careful to not open it if you don't know who the sender is. We've also been able to start developing small tests where a fake malicious email is sent to you, and should you click on the link or send the information that it's asking for by click on the link and filling in the form, then it will prompt you that you need to do some cybersecurity awareness training. And alongside that is just general training, where we can send a short course once a week or thereabouts of a 4-minute training video to help improve your own or your employees' cybersecurity posture. And lastly is dark web monitoring. So if you haven't heard of the dark web before, it's a bit like the underground internet where hackers trade personal information. Whilst we're personally on the dark web, we have access to a service that does monitor the dark web and can alert you if your email addresses, passwords, or similarly personal information has been compromised and exposed on there. Unfortunately, it won't remove it, but if you're aware of, say, a password being appear on the dark web, it's probably a good opportunity then to change any accounts that have that password.
So the idea here, very quickly, because I'm aware of time, is if you think of cybersecurity like an onion that has multiple layers, given that email is so commonly that's where we're seeing the attacks aimed at, we're aiming to put additional layers of security, additional layers, so that if one layer fails, then you've got another layer there and another layer there. So it's adding additional security to the what is currently in some ways the biggest concern.
Yeah, and it's not to put more onus on yourself or your employees, but rather have that additional protection available. Email security, particularly, we're noticing there's a few things there where we can certainly help clients reduce even the small amounts of spam they might be still getting, because Microsoft does a fairly good job at protecting against that. But certainly there's no other solution that Microsoft offer in terms of phishing tests and training and dark web, which is why we've looked at other solutions to make that work for you. Happy to provide demos and examples of how that could work for you in your business. Honestly, just happy to show it to you to see if it would work for you. But as one of those things in the SMBIT is about phishing tests and training, we can say we can offer that now to you as part of our service offerings. So for a quick tip and trick, what I thought I'd share with you today is the snipping tool. Some of you may have already used the snipping tool. It's an application included inside of Windows that enables you to take screenshots of a picture or some a text in your document. One of the new features available now is to be able to read the text and convert it to a readable format that you can edit. So for example here, I'll see if I can bring my snipping tool up. The snipping tool, as I said, just by looking in your start menu, you'll get to the snipping tool. And by highlighting, clicking new, you can highlight over a text, and I'll use it over this web page here rather than opening the actual web page today for time. It will then allow you to capture the text. And this button here on the side here under text options, if I click on that, we'll scan the text over and then provide us the ability to copy all that text. That text, once copied, can be added to a PowerPoint, an email, or a Word document, as you see fit. There's also another feature next to it now called Quick Read Act. So if there's actually some private information there you may not want to share, such as passwords or other identifying information, it can scan what it thinks is confidential information and black out that information for you. So quite a handy tool that's available now within built into Windows, and encourage you to try it when the opportunity might arise. So one last thing is Alberto's picture there, our technical guru, and he's not with us on the call today. He's busy taking all the calls that we are missing while we're in this webinar with you. We'd like to remind you to please leave your computers on Monday evening for our clients on managed services to allow our maintenance and updates to occur. We've seen recent incidents where updates have been attempted to be installed, but unfortunately the computers have been turned off, and as a result, we don't fully get the computers up to date. So Alberto is quite a high achiever. We really try to aim to a very high level of compliance on our computers, and by keeping them on Monday nights, we can ensure the most likelihood that all updates will be deployed successfully and able to be installed, and your computer to work on the Tuesday morning without any disruption. Also, it'd be great if you can continue to please use our dedicated email address, service@cyberguru.com.au. This provides the most efficient response to provide support to you. When it's sent by email to myself personally or via text message, sometimes they can get missed in the busy days that we can often have. But by using the service@cyberguru email address, we can look after your email promptly and quickly. And of course, if the issue is urgent that you're experiencing, please don't just wait for our response. Alberto's response time is very fast. We respond to most calls within the hour, or emails within the hour. But if it is urgent, please do call so we can prioritise your requests. And it's just our general office number, 07 3185 0555. So lastly, we've got a few minutes left if there's any questions. I haven't seen any pop up in the chat, but if you do think of any questions that you'd like to ask after this, we're only a phone call or email away.
There's a quick one from Bob about the new Outlook, about whether access is not allowed overseas.
So the Outlook, it's probably best to talk to Bob separately about that. Bob's a home user, so that wouldn't affect Bob in any way. It's for the Microsoft 365 business clients and not-for-profits that we have that would affect. So is there more to that question, sorry, than that, Jess?
Oh, just about, yeah, probably best to take that offline.
Okay, yeah, I might take that one offline for you, Bob, if that's all right, please. But generally speaking, the new Outlook can be toggled on and off at the moment for any user, whether commercial or consumer clients, as Microsoft deem you, and then the support service that you have. And geo-blocking, it only applies to our clients on Microsoft 365 Business Premium and above. So we appreciate your time today, and we'll be sending a short survey after the completion of the session. And if you have any feedback on how we can improve this for future sessions that we might have, we would love to hear it. And we will be making a session recording available through our website that we'll send you a link to after it has been published. So without further ado, we'll let you go to enjoy the rest of your day. If you don't have our numbers and details, you're welcome to take a screenshot of this, perhaps using the snipping tool. We can be contacted by phone, email, or via our website. And also, if you haven't already done so, feel free to join us on our social media channels. We're quite active on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on Instagram. We publish a blog that's featured on all those channels, and we'd love to hear from you if there's anything you'd like us to cover in future sessions or in future blog articles. But thanks for your time.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.